Roy Hodgson watches on as his Watford side earn draw at Burnley. The only sirens Roy Hodgson can hear now are the alarm bells ringing as Watford's fight for Premier League survival becomes increasingly desperate. This encounter between the bottom two clubs at a wet and wild turf moor was a game Watford and Burnley badly need to win but could ill afford to lose. As such, no one here should be too surprised that it ended in a goalless draw. However, after taking a solitary point from their last two games against fellow strugglers Norwich and Newcastle, results that finally cost Claudio Ranieri his job, this was another opportunity missed for the Hornets. Hodgson's first game in charge after returning to football at the age of 74 to become the Premier League's oldest ever manager and the Pazzo family's 15th permanent boss since June 2012 couldn't inspire the win his new club needed, even though a draw lifted Watford above Newcastle to third from bottom. Like a siren call from a mermaid as the sailor passes by on his ship, was how he described his return after taking the job earlier this week. Hodgson certainly had the look of an old sea captain being battered by a squall as he stood on the touchline in the howling wind and rain, continually wiping his glasses so he could see what was going on. Burnley's situation remains just as precarious at the foot of the table, but at least they have two games in hand on Watford and Newcastle. This wasn't a pretty spectacle by any means, and the conditions were only partly to blame for that. Watford are still without a win since consigning Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to the sack in mid-November and came into this game with 14 defeats from 20 games. The last team to survive in the Premier League with a record like that was Southampton 28 years ago. Burnley's record is equally bad with just one win all season. The last team to survive in the top flight with a record like that was West Bromwich Albion in 2005. So there was no underestimating the importance of this fixture for both clubs in their attempt to beat the drop. In theory, the wind and rain suited Burnley more. They had the more direct style and a 6 feet 6 inches target man in Wout Weghorst, a £12 million signing from Wolfsburg on deadline day who was making his debut. It was the Dutchman who used his height to create the first chance of the game in the 11th minute. Weghorst flicked the ball on for Maxwell Cornet, who got away from Craig Cathcart to bring a fine reflex save from Ben Foster. It was to be Burnley's best effort of an error-strewn first half, though, as Watford defied the weather by somehow managing to get the ball down and play some decent football. João Pedro thought he had a clear sight of goal in the 18th minute, only to be denied by an excellent sliding tackle from James Tarkowski shortly before Joshua King was booked for catching Burnley's No. 5 in the face with his arm. King then beat the offside trap to latch onto Houssem Kamara's through ball and try his luck from a tight angle, but goalkeeper Nick Pope just prevented the ball from going through his legs. From the resulting corner, João Pedro flicked the ball against Ben Mee, and it pinged about the 6-yard box, with Aaron Lennon clearing off the line. 4-4-2. Pope 7, Roberts 6, Tarkowski 7, Mee 6, Peters 6.5, Lennon 6, Rodriguez 66, 6, Westwood 6.5, Stevens 6, McNeil 6, Cornet 6, Weghorst 5.5. Subs: Lowton, Cork, Hennessy, Collins, Norris, Bardsley, Long, Thomas. Booked. Stevens manager. Sean Ditch 6 Watford, 4-3-3. Foster 6.5, Femenia 6, Cathcart 7, Samir 7.5, Kamara 7, Kuka 6.5, KM 6, Cleverly 70, 6.5, Sissoko 5.5, Sima 6, King 6, João Pedro 6.5, Hernandez 83. Subs: Ngakia, Trustekong, Lauza, Messina, Fletcher, Bachmann, Cabasel. Booked. King, Cleverly manager. Roy Hodgson 6 referee. Craig Pawson 6. The half ended with Watford's players surrounding referee Craig Pawson demanding a penalty after Connor Roberts clearly blocked Ken Sima's pass with an outstretched hand. Was it intentional? No. Was his arm in a natural position? Again no. VAR ruled against Watford, but Burnley tried to do their bit to force the issue by disappearing into the dressing room before a final decision had been made. Ditch's side started the second half strongly as well, and it was only seconds old when they hit the bar. Weghorst only had Pope to beat, but Kamara did brilliantly to block his shot. The ball looped up against the bar, and Edo KM did equally well to clear it. Weghorst rather clumsily sliced another chance well wide. Cornet tested Foster again with a curling effort, and substitute J. Rodriguez glanced a header inches wide as Burnley pressed for a winner. But Watford still posed a threat, and João Pedro aimed a header straight at Pope before Mee almost scored in his own net. Then Pope produced a fantastic save down to his right in the 85th minute from Tom Cleverley's shot through the legs of me after Watford's other substitute Cucho Hernandez tried to force his way through the Watford defence. It was a crucial stop to preserve a stalemate that only does so much for both clubs' hopes of staying up. A point or two squandered. Only time will tell.